Jordan Peterson. Okay. Alhamdulillah wa ba'd. Jordan Peterson can be considered as one of the most influential people around the world. Actually, some would say that he is the most influential public figure in the world, especially in the West. Dr. Peterson is not just a clinical psychologist. You know, he's an intellectual thinker. We may call him a scholar even. So, and some people call him the modern prophet, actually. 650 million views on his YouTube channel now, with, this YouTube channel with 7.5 million subscribers. So he's, a public figure, actually. Yeah. So why I'm talking about him? So, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm interested in psychology, philosophy, and religion. And his writings and lectures revolve around, psychological topics, of course, because he's a clinical psychologist, but even his writings and such. And many of his work explored the concept of belief and how that relates to psychological predisposition, if that's to say. So, that relates to what we do in fiqh al-nafs and such. So yeah, he's also well recognized for his books and videos and lectures about, self-improvement, encouraging especially young adults, talking about responsibility, discipline, and encouraging them in many ways. So that, and many of these videos and such, have the influence, But there are some issues about Jordan Peterson and his relationship with Islam and Muslims. So, in regards to Muslims, he represented Islam many times in a wrong way. If I would say, he misrepresented Islam in more than one talk. And he made derogatory remarks about the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him. I've previously also released a commentary video about his message to Muslims. He released that video that was a message. I believe the title was something like that, message to Muslims or something. So I've made a comment on that. And again, regarding his relationship to Muslims, he carried out many meetings and podcasts, interviews with some Muslim public figures living in the West, like Muhammad Hijab, Hamza Yusuf. And I've commented actually on the first meeting of him with Hijab. I've commented on that in Arabic, of course, previously. So, first of all, I must admit that I agree with Dr. Peterson's viewpoints, many of them actually. And I agree with very much of his, many of his analyses and treatments of issues and such, social problems and such. So I agree with him in many ways. However, today I want to concentrate on his most recent tweet, which is this. His tweet was about the situation in Gaza, which is obviously connected to the what's called Palestinian-Israeli conflict. So he tweeted the following, give him hell, give him hell, give them hell. That's the meaning of it, yeah? He tagged Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. So he encouraged him, give them hell, enough is enough. That's very bad from someone like you, Jordan Peterson. Okay, so for 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 those who don't know Dr. Peterson, he can often lose control of his emotions actually, and he might say things that he subsequently may regret saying, or that he may later defend or even justify, and that's what he usually do. That's what he usually does, you know, justify and defend his viewpoints and such. I'm not sure if he regrets things, but he can. So, anyways, I don't blame him for that because he's a human being at the end of the day. So he saw pictures and videos of white men and women screaming, shouting in fear. So he did what he did. That's what happened. And I would say it's not that bad to let your emotions out from time to time, because these emotions often turn out to be positive, because emotions in a way, or you know, how you react according to your emotions, that can reflect genuine and spontaneous thoughts, ideas, you know, and beliefs. So when you react in that state of, you know, when you are emotional and you react spontaneously, sometimes that can be the truth of you. That would tell us who are you, what you think, and such. That's, I'm not talking about just about this situation. I'm talking about generally. So for a good illustration for that. So when Dr. Peterson, for example, talks about the difficulties faced by young people, and when he talks about the misfortunes and you know, the misfortunes that befall Western societies, and the family destruction that, you know, that's the family destruction within the Western community, and you know, the issue that's spreading right there, right now, he can be teary and emotional, and that's in a way. So this truly expresses what's going on in his mind, and you know, on his mind and his heart. So he feels, you know, he feels for them and such. That's why he can be tearful and such. Anyways, so the same thing for this tweet. So yeah, I know it's true that this is an irresponsible response, irresponsible reaction. And of course, this response is based on ignorance, of course. And I won't explain that for now because I'm just trying to reach a point. But of course, it expresses his perceptions and views about the issue. And I would say that all of this is consistent with what he believes in and what he talks about every time. Again, for those who don't know Dr. Peterson, he has held a number of meetings with proponents of both Israeli and Palestinian cause. He can say that this is in an effort to better understanding the situation, or even to build bridges and such. And this is in keeping with his, I would say, with his aptitude for examining and analyzing things. So he did that. And I can honestly claim that those who advocated for in favor of those who advocated in favor of Zionism, they had a consistent viewpoint actually, and they have this strange in a way and astonishing in a way commitment to their primary goal of the existence of Israel and the right to be there and such. On the other hand, when you hear, you know, you often find supporters of the Palestinian cause singing to different chords according to their, according to their parties and currents and such. I wouldn't talk about more about that, but regardless of that, I absolutely understand what happened with Dr. Peterson. That's the point. So that's how he sees the conflict in the Middle East. So that's how he sees it. He sees it. So it's something like this. There is a conflict between an entity or a body, I mean Israel, a body that represents the civilized Western culture on one hand. So again, so that's how he sees it. At least that's my understanding of it. Okay, so he sees the conflict between a body that represents the civilized Western culture on the one hand, and Arab Muslims who reject civilization, reject negotiation, reject peaceful solutions and such on the other hand. That's how he sees it. In addition to that, he's close to the current Israeli leadership. That's represented by Netanyahu and his Likud party and such, because this is a right wing, it is a right wing party. So it's understandable why we don't see that, why we don't see that clearly. So I know Dr. Peterson sometimes would describe himself in one of his meetings, interviews. He said that something like this: I choose my words very, very carefully. Something like that. He said that, actually, yeah. He said that. He said that he chose his words very, very carefully. And he said it in a very assertive and strong way. However, he expressed, so in this tweet, you can find it, he expressed dogmatic and irresponsible words when he tweeted these words. Give them hell, enough is enough. What's that? What do you mean by that? What are you doing? So, let's read the question. So the question is, are we fooled by Dr. Peterson? Has he revealed to us who is under his mask now? And what should we do with him? We must think about these questions, but we must think about these questions realistically and rationally. Because our positions, our actions should not be influenced just by our emotional reaction or others or his reaction in this instance. Rather, we should analyze, understand, and after that we act. So in this situation, Jordan Peterson is a conservative person who believes that life contains absolute values and absolute truth. He also believes that believing God is very important for self and society. Jordan Peterson also would say that Satan, الشيطان, Satan, the devil, Satan is there. And Satan, with his leftist allies, I would say, they seek to destroy society and destroy the soul. How is that? By changing the natural order of things. Psychologically, socially, and other things. And he would face that, Satan and his allies. Left-wing allies. So that's what he thinks. And like his friends on the right, he believes that openness and acceptance of diversity should not obscure or overshadow the reality of psychological and societal differences and disparities. There are differences between people. And among these differences that Jordan Peterson believes in are the differences between men and women, males and females, and of course, intellects and ignorance, rich and poor, and such. But he believes that there are differences between people, and we should acknowledge that. And this is the God's law, actually, in the universe. So that's a natural thing that happens, and we need to solve that, but not to ignore that. Okay. He also realizes that intellectual or social conflict or even military conflict is an unavoidable universal norm that happens. And of course, for him, naturally, he would see himself as a man of his kind. He would see himself as a man of his white Western people. He's one of them. And he does not see any embarrassment in defending his intellectual affiliation or even his psychological affiliation with Western culture. Because he would be proud of it, actually. That culture that took shape in stages, Western culture started with the Greek, starting with Greek philosophers, passing through Christian scholars, ending with even philosophers and thinkers in the era of the Enlightenment, the modernity, and even beyond. And he sees himself as an extension of all of them, despite he objects to many of them sometimes. But he believes that he is an extension of that culture, Western culture, Western white Christian culture. He also believes that the prosperity, the development, the progress of the modern, life. So this is nothing but the result of Western progress, actually. Of course, he cannot deny the contribution of other cultures, but he can't see it in his heart, let's say. Anyways, I'm trying to explain and to say what I understand from Jordan Peterson. And I'm surprised why others cannot see that. And actually, I'm surprised why they are surprised, because that is who he is from the beginning. Why you can't understand that? Why you are surprised? Why you feel you are fooled? Let's continue. So you can see that we agree with him and he agrees with us on many important topics. And the most important of which are the idea, the most important is the idea that there is an absolute truth. Even we disagree with him that about the possibility of reaching that truth, because he can be reluctant and confused about that, despite he can appear confident, but he is reluctant about how to reach the truth. But we agree with him that there is a truth. But again, he is confused about how to reach that truth. Also, we agree with him that in order to address injustice and to solve injustice in life, and if there is any kind of problems, we need, of course, we need to solve that. But the fantasies of, universal equality and the romantic cries of diversity issues and such, these must be grounded in reality rather than twisting logic and covering the truth and just shouting and crying about that. We also agree with him that we agree with his criticism of feminism and how he confronts, the the projects and the war against families, and the trials of breaking the gender roles and such. And of course, we support what he says about the emphasis on and the importance of family and the social structure to manage societies and such. We agree with him also. Actually, so it can also seem like he agrees with us on the because he believes in God. But this is skeptical actually, because he is an idealist. I mean, philosophy-wise, he is an idealist, which means that he rejects the presence of God. He instead accepts the idea of God, and these are different things, because we as Muslims believe in one God, personalized God. He has a different idea about God. God for him is just an idea, a metaphor or something. We would talk about the differences in a minute. Let's talk about what we agree with him about. So one of the things that we agree with him about personally, I would agree with him about is that he embraces the clarity of positions. What does that mean? Is that so you need to be, so clarity about positions, away from hypocrisy, away from ambiguity, away from equivocation and such. So he would urges clarity in all interactions. I mean, even in conflict and discord, and of course in addition to communication and negotiation. But you need to speak up, to say what you believe in, not to be ambiguous, to be evasive about what you think, what you believe in, even if that would lead to some kind of conflict, because that would be a healthy conflict in a way. And this is, of course, better than the annoying passive-aggressive behavior that many people in these days would do. Okay, so these are some of the things that we agree around me and Dr. Peterson, let's say. However, you will discover that we and he have significant philosophical and practical differences. As I said before, he does not believe in a personalized God like the one that we believe in as Muslims. I would say also he would interpret the gospel or the Torah even to suit his views around the world, or even, I would say, his whims. And the strange thing about that he would judge everything according to that. So again, he would interpret the Gospels, the Torah, any scripts and such, according to what he sees, his views and I would say his whims. And it's not just like that. He would judge everything else, others, values, everything according to that. He would judge Muslims according to that. And of course, according to modern West. Not very modern, postmodern West. No, modern West. And that's bizarre and strange. And I would say that has nothing to do with absolute truth that you believe in. Why are you doing that? Anyways, but people can embrace conflict. Anyways. Another thing that we disagree with, I can say that Jordan Peterson is a humanist per excellence, especially when he describes the relationship between man and God, you know, the human being and God. He can be a perfect humanist. Why is that? Because he disapproves the idea of submission to God, al-ubudiyya. He don't agree with that kind of relationship with God. You know, rather he would regard man, you know, the human man, as the center of the relationship with God. Maybe he would not say it loudly that the human being, you know, the mankind, the human is the center of the relationship with God, but he believes that, I would say. And then he supports Zionism. Not any kind of Zionism, Zionism in its right-wing form. And you know, these right-wing Zionists, they declare their hostility to others, frankly. Okay, it's your choice. I won't pretend to you that I don't like this kind of hostility, because actually I do like it, because that's how I like my enemies to be, frank and clear, without any passive-aggressive kind of behavior. But let's keep things obvious. Another thing, I would say Jordan Peterson also is a secular person. Yes, he's talking about, he talks a lot about religion, spirituality, these things, you know, things about religion and God and such. But he's a secular person. What I mean by that is he sees the worldly life, الحياة dunya life, as the life. So this is the life. That's it. Everything is about this current life. And of course, he would weave his understanding of religions, morals, values, psychology, society, anything. He would weave every knowledge that he has according to that. But to be honest, I would say that despite all of these things, and I would say conflict and disagreements, I see him as being consistent with himself and having a degree of honesty. Yeah, honestly, I would say that. Yeah, I believe Jordan Peterson has a degree of honesty, a rare degree of honesty, that we don't see usually in this life, in this current world. Especially when we talk about, you know, famous people, influencers and such. That's why I sometimes ask God to guide him. Let's get back to the question. The question was about, okay, have we been fooled by Jordan Peterson? And has he revealed to us who is under the mask? And what are we to do with him? So, we've been fooled by Jordan Peterson? The answer, of course. Of course. Those who see life in black and white have been deceived by him. Of course, those who see life in black and white, those who live in Mars, those who live in Venus, would have been deceived and fooled by him. And they would feel that they have discovered something awful and new. They've been fooled. they would feel that they must do something about this kind of, you know, deceivement that they've been through. So they would feel something like they must launch campaigns to smear and overthrow against him and such. I know some of his fans would just justify him, or may even follow his leads and follow his point of views. But even those, let's not talk about those. But the rational individual, the reasonable person, would not fall for it, because it was obvious. So let's just summarize it. So Jordan was a man with clear views and ideas from a long time ago. The man is explaining himself in books. He writes books, he do lectures, everything is there. He's not a TikToker just shooting some videos and photos. He's not a soccer or football player. You don't know about what he thinks, what his ideas are, No, he is an intellectual person who writes books, for God's sake. So you can know who he is and what are his ideas and such. So there is no masks here. No masks here. Everything was clear from the beginning, but you were a fool. Excuse me for that. Don't excuse me for that. But there were no masks. It's just you. I would say it's true that he began to speak more firmly and forcefully after he became famous and rich, but his ideas are the same. So, what do we do with him? That would be the question. What to do with him? What to do with him? What we do with everyone? Yeah. We accept the truth from him. If he says anything with evidence, we accept that. We refuse any falsehood or any evil that come from him. That's it. And if we see that his evil outweighs his goodness, we alert people to his evil so that they can, pay attention to that. And we explain to them his bads. We explain to them his wrong ideas and faults and even shortcomings and so on. That's it. I don't know why people are experiencing some kind of crisis or even, dilemma, crisis, when they discover that people can have both good and evil. I don't know why they live that kind of crisis, especially when that person that has good and bad is someone that you admire or love. Even if he's an influencer, even if he is an intellectual person, even if he was anyone, he can have those, he can have both good and evil. And you should know, you should weigh, what is the, so you should weigh, the good and bad and such. So I don't know why people cannot benefit from the goodness of someone different from them, even if he is a bad person or a disbeliever or an enemy even. Why people cannot stand that they can benefit from others even if they are enemies? Did you not know that the effect of the greatest ayah in Quran, Ayat al-Kursi, the effect of that verse against Satan, did you know that we learned that from Satan himself? And we accepted that. That's it. God Almighty knows best, and may God's blessings and peace be upon our Master, Muhammad, and his family and all companions. Assalamu alaikum.